Hello, I'm Rabbi David Silver. You are about to see an important film. Although this film takes place in a Christian setting, the issue with which it deals cuts across all religious boundaries. We ask you to put yourselves in the place of these characters and not be distracted by the references to Christian rituals and practices. We know that the problem depicted here has also affected the Jewish community. Increased awareness and education are needed. This film takes an important first step in that direction.
The following dramatization is based upon the experiences of individuals in many different religious groups. Although we have chosen to depict a United Methodist Church, similar cases have been documented within all Protestant denominations and among Catholics and Jews. We recognize that practices and procedures differ among various denominations and faiths. We ask that you not be distracted by these differences, but remember that the problem depicted here cuts across all denominations and faith groups.
And from prophet to priest, everyone deals falsely. They have healed the wound of my people lightly, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace.
Deborah, remember, Deborah, God brought us together. Remember, a good girl obeys. Good girl doesn't say no. Good girls marry ministers, they don't become ministers. Pastor knows what's best. Trust him. Remember,
good girls marry ministers. They don't become
Pastor
ministers.
knows what's best.
Pastor knows what's best.
God brought us together. Obeys. Remember, God brought us together.
What's the matter?
Nothing. It's okay. Go back to sleep. Dear Bishop Maxwell, this is to inform you that I will not, indeed I cannot, accept the position of associate pastor at Trinity Church. My reason for declining the appointment is that I cannot serve beside Peter Gannett. Although he is respected in the community and much loved by his congregation, Reverend Gannett is in fact guilty of abusing his position of authority. I know this from my own painful experience. He became my pastor during my first year of seminary, and for nearly 2 years as his student intern, I was sexually involved with him. At the time, I looked upon him as a mentor and trusted him implicitly. He convinced me that our secret relationship was blessed by God. As a newly ordained minister, I now see things very differently. What I have come to realize is that Peter Gannett
is a danger to his parishioners and to our church. I know this is a grave accusation, and I do not make it without much thought and prayer, but I am convinced that Peter Gannett must be stopped. And then there's also the written statement that goes into more details, times, places.
It's not a statement, Tom. It's a romance novel.
Peter, Bishop Maxwell doesn't think this is something to joke about.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to overreact. It's just I'm totally confused here. I don't know if this woman's having a nervous breakdown or if her husband's leaving her. Seriously, Tom, I haven't a clue what prompted this.
Then none of this is true.
No, of course not. Well, I mean, yes, the part about knowing her at seminary, but a sexual relationship? I was still married then.
So, Peter, you're absolutely sure there's nothing here to worry about?
Only the usual. Schoolgirl crush on her minister. You know that old story, Tom. I know you know that story.
Well, it's been a while since I've been in the pulpit, but yes, I do have a vague memory.
Well, then you must understand how vulnerable I feel.
Yes, I do. And I'm sorry we have to go through this inquiry. But the bishop has been very clear on this. He asked me to review the complaint with an ad hoc inquiry board.
And what will they do?
Well, they'll decide whether there's really a problem and if it should go to the executive cabinet.
Who's on that board?
Of the clergy members, there's Harold Hawks. He'll chair the meeting. And then Dwayne Thomas from Wesleyan. And from your church, Agnes Jansen. She'll be the lay representative.
Harold's a good man.
Well, and I'll be there.
Tom, I know this puts a lot of pressure on you.
Peter, let me worry about that. Just answer me one question, then we can both walk out of here resolved. Is there anything else that I should know about before we proceed?
No.
Peter, I can't tell you how relieved I feel.
Well, whatever it takes, Tom. I just want to get this thing handled.
Well, I'm glad we could get together and talk this out before the board convenes. I'm quite concerned about this.
My concern now is for Deborah. Career-wise, this is suicide for her.
Yes, well, I understand she's very talented. Thank you.
Reverend Gannett,
Esther, hello.
I heard you'd be stopping by, so I baked something for that sweet tooth of yours.
Pecan pie. Esther, that's marvelous.
Esther's a great cook.
From Mendoza, I'm sorry I would have baked you a pie, but your wife says you're on a diet.
Well, that's why I'm not going to stick around and watch somebody else eat sweets. Next week, Peter.
Tom, thank you. Listen, on Sunday, check out my sermon if you can. You know, you're the only one who gives me good feedback.
Next week, Peter.
Well, let me get that book I borrowed, and I know you're busy.
I'm never too busy for a parishioner, Esther. Especially you.
Well, we haven't gotten together in a while, if you'd like to stop by later.
Oh, I'd like to very much. But I promised Lily's mother I'd pay a pastoral call on their family.
Oh, well, I'd heard Lily been ill.
But I'll see you soon. And I'll see you in church on Sunday. Bye-bye, Esther.
Bye. Peter, you forgot your pie.
Oh, Esther, you're so sweet. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Hi, Reverend Gannett. Hi, Peter. What you doing?
I came to see Lily. Is she home?
She's always home. She never leaves the house.
Deborah, can you tell us why you decided to come forward with this now?
It took me a long time to understand why this was wrong. I believed so much in Peter. He was the most powerful person in my life during those years. If he had said, Deborah, the church desperately needs money and God wants us to rob a bank to get it, I probably would have gone along with it. It's difficult to explain. All I know is what he did to me was wrong, and he should be held accountable.
Deborah, even if this did happen, it was over 8 years ago.
But that's not the issue.
But to threaten a man's job, especially someone who's done so much good, is wrong. Doesn't the word forgiveness have any meaning?
It's not about forgiving him. It's about what he's doing in our church.
What do you think he's doing?
Well, for one thing, he's still using his position of authority to come onto women. When I met with him to discuss the appointment, the first thing he did was suggest that we go to a hotel across town for a coffee.
Now, Miss Williams.
Excuse me, it's Reverend Williams.
Reverend Williams, surely you don't expect us to believe that Peter Gannett propositioned you in an appointment interview.
His exact words were, "Deborah, I've missed your touch. It will be good to have you close again." And then he suggested that we go for a coffee at a hotel where we'd gone in the past to be intimate.
Well, perhaps you misunderstood his intentions.
I was there. I know what he meant.
Well, is that all you have to tell us?
No, there is something else. I also suspect that there may be others.
Really?
Last summer, 2 of the girls at the youth camp told me privately that Reverend Gannett had teased them about having sex. And I've seen him with other women at annual conference. I just have this funny feeling.
Oh, but you have no proof. No other witnesses, no other statements.
No.
Hurry up and get dressed, Lily. Your brother's gonna be home soon. I don't know what I'd do without you, Lily. Got a million headaches down at the church. And the board's idea of an all-purpose aspirin is to recruit more volunteers. It's a good thing I love what I do. Otherwise, I think I would have quit a long time ago.
I've been thinking. I want to go back to school.
Yeah, it's about time.
I think it would be good for me.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think would be good for me is not to see you anymore. Like this, I mean.
What did you say?
Well, I've been thinking about a relationship, and
Who have you been talking to?
no one.
Have you been talking to the Reverend Williams?
No, Peter, I just,
Are you sure?
yeah, I don't even know Reverend Williams.
Now, didn't you go to a retreat one time? Deborah Williams?
Deborah Williams? Yes, but I didn't know she was a
Did
minister.
you talk to her about us?
No, I haven't told anyone. Peter, you're hurting my arm.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come here. Sit down. Come here. Gosh, I'm under so much pressure right now. It's just so much I want to do, and right now I feel like I'm all alone trying to do everything. I need you. If we were to stop seeing each other, I'd be lost. Besides, I want to help you and your family. You still want to bring your grandmother over from the Philippines, don't you? But you go do something about your hair before somebody sees you like this. Go on.
What I would like to know is why she just didn't say no.
Honestly, I don't know why we're wasting our time. Things like this just don't happen. Not in my church.
It was so long ago. I think we should just let it lie.
I agree.
No, I think we need to hear from Gannett.
Dwayne's right. I'm sure Peter would want to meet with us.
Excuse me, I'll be right back.
I hate to embarrass him with this. He's done so much for the conference.
It's a shameful thing for such a good man to be attacked like this.
I know for a fact that the Elderly Housing Initiative succeeded only because Peter Gannett wouldn't give up on it.
Well, it was the same with Ralph Cummings' little girl. He was there at the hospital every night.
Need some help?
I can take care of it, thank you.
Oh, I know. I just thought you might like some help.
I'm sorry. I'm still upset about the meeting. Yeah, please, could you get inside and start it when I say so?
Sure. Just give me a holler.
Okay, try it. If only the church were as easy to fix as a car. Thanks.
Sure, no problem. Listen, Deborah, I know you must be feeling really alone now, and I just wanted you to know that I understand. It's not easy what you're doing.
Outside of my husband, that's the first supportive thing anybody's said since I wrote the letter.
Yeah? Well, you know, I had something similar happen to me once. When I was a kid, I was sent to a mission boarding school, and there was this one priest.
Dwayne, I'm sorry.
No, there's nothing to be sorry about. It's all over now, and I've dealt with it. Besides, the man's dead now.
Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if nothing happens next week. But try not to blame yourself, all right?
Yeah.
Well, I've got to be getting back now.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Sure, no problem. Oh, one other thing. Could you not mention this to anyone? My wife knows all about it, but I'd just as soon keep it a part of my past, okay?
Sure, I understand. And Dwayne, thanks again for everything.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Hello?
Come on through, I'm in the back.
Esther, your garden's fantastic.
Peter, I hadn't expected to see you this week.
Well, I was in the neighborhood for a denominational meeting, so I thought I'd stop by and see you.
I thought you hated those meetings.
I do. It gave me a good excuse to see you.
Sit down and I'll get you something to drink.
So how are things at work?
Fine.
And how's the inquiry board going?
Well, I haven't been there for all of it.
But you're taking the minutes. What did the Reverend Williams have to say?
Well, pretty much what was in her statement.
And do you believe her?
No, of course not. But
what?
But what about us? About our relationship? I don't understand us.
What don't you understand?
sometimes I don't know what I'm feeling towards you.
Esther.
I've been very happy. You've helped me through a lot of pain. It's
Esther.
just...
Esther, I know it's hard, especially right now, but I need you.
I guess I'm confused about whether you're my pastor or my friend.
Oh, but we are friends. Good friends. You're the only one who really understands me. Everybody expects me to be so perfect all the time. But you're different. You understand me. That's your gift. Please, don't desert me.
Don't worry, Peter. I won't let you down.
We all know the story of Joseph, servant to the Egyptian Potiphar. Entrusted with the Potiphar house, Joseph, who was, by the way, described as being a handsome man, was invited by Potiphar's wife to come and lie with her. And Joseph refused because, of course, it would be a sin against God and a betrayal of Potiphar's trust. But one day, Potiphar's wife could stand the rejection no longer, and she told her husband that Joseph had come and tried to have sex with her, and that she had screamed and driven him away. And she held up Joseph's coat as proof positive. Naturally, Potiphar was enraged and imprisoned Joseph. But even so, God was not blind. God was not fooled. God was with Joseph. And the lesson we must each glean regarding rumors and innuendo is as relevant now as it was 2,000 plus years ago. If we are righteous, God will hear us. And that is our strength and our salvation, no matter what difficult situations we may find ourselves in. And now, let us pray.
Oh, Peter, stop.
Tom, what's wrong?
Nothing.
We can't let Peter be vilified like this. There's so much at stake for the church.
You know, it's going to take a lot more than letters to get anything done. I mean, the community loves the interfaith events, but how are we going to get the people out?
If we build it, they will come.
That's very good.
I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, they usually have 1,000 ideas.
I was just thinking.
But not about the Jewish-Christian dialogue.
No. Hey, David, I was just curious about something. Did you ever have to deal with a rabbi who you suspected might be having an affair with somebody in his congregation?
It's not just an affair.
So you have had it happen?
Unfortunately, that's the one interfaith thing none of us likes to talk about.
So what do you do about it?
Well, the usual practice is to hope the whole problem goes away. Even if there's only one victim, it can still wreck the congregation.
Well, Eugene?
Tom.
I guess you Catholic priests don't have this problem.
I wouldn't exactly say that. In the past, we did try to ignore it, but we can't anymore. It's costing us far too much in in suffering and in money.
Now, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Neither of you has ever had to deal with a colleague in this position?
There was one rabbi who was so flagrant he was forced to resign.
So that took care of the problem.
We thought so. You know, that case still bothers me.
Why?
Even though he resigned, we all rallied around the man as if he were the victim.
Well, Dave, don't you think he needed the support?
Well, I'm not denying him that, but he also needed to be confronted and to get help.
Wait a minute. What about the congregation?
We were so concerned about the man, we just abandoned the women. The congregation still hasn't recovered from the mess.
I guess healing does take a lot of time.
Of course it takes time. And compassion for everyone.
Yes, but, you know, my father was an old civil rights attorney. And he had this sign on the wall in his office that said, "There can be no healing without justice, and justice requires courage." Aside from the victims, I don't think any of us displayed much courage in that case.
Hello? Honey, could you go turn on the TV? Thanks. Hello?
Reverend Williams, you probably don't remember me. My name is Lily DeVera.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
I was wondering if I could see you.
Certainly. How about sometime tomorrow?
No, tonight, please. I have to see you tonight.
All right.
First of all, I have to be honest and admit to you that this is not the first time an accusation of this sort has popped up. This kind of thing plagues the clergy everywhere. Women have fantasies. Even when I was still married, it happened.
I'm so sorry we put you through all this.
Well, I'm sorry, too. But I do appreciate the way you've all handled it.
Well, we appreciate the work you do.
Thank you, Agnes.
Excuse me. There's someone else who'd like to talk to you.
Lily, what are you doing here?
Deborah, this is most unusual.
Deborah, I can't imagine what kind of grudge you must hold against me, or why you would want to bring this poor, sick girl down here now.
She's not sick anymore.
Peter, what is this about?
Miss DeVera has something important she needs to talk to you all about.
This board is not interested in my personal life outside of your ridiculous allegations.
Your personal life? Mm-hmm. Peter, does this mean that you're involved with Miss DeVera?
Harold, we're here to deal with Deborah's problems. We don't have time to go into some other story she's fabricated.
Peter's right.
Well,
Harold, will take time. Lily, whatever you have to tell us, we're here to listen.
I met Reverend Gannett when I was 8 years old, when we first came from the Philippines. He was always very good to my family. When I was in high school, he gave me a job cleaning in his house. I would go to his house every Saturday to clean. Sometimes he would come out in his underwear. And I was always very embarrassed. He was married, but his wife was never home when I came over. One day he told me his wife had left him and he needed someone. That he needed me. And he began kissing me. And he began touching me. I was scared. I didn't tell anyone. I was only 17. The next week, he took me into the bedroom. And for a while, I started to think that I was in love with him. I wanted to tell my family, but Peter said no. He was a minister, and he couldn't tell anyone just yet. All this time I was thinking we would marry and that we would live together and that all the confused feelings I had would go away. But he didn't marry me. So I got sick then, and I had to drop out of college. And because I was sick so much, I started to miss work, and Peter fired me. So now I had no job. I wasn't in school, and my parents worried because I was so sad all the time. Still, I wouldn't tell anyone. I wouldn't bring shame to my family. Every night I would try to pray. But the person I saw when I prayed was Peter. And I felt so alone. And I felt so lost. And I wondered over and over, where was God? And why was I so far away from God?
That took a lot of courage, Lily.
What will happen now?
If all goes right, the committee will decide that there is sufficient reason to refer the case to the bishop, and there'll be a formal hearing. No more secrets.
And if it doesn't go right?
First of all, my relationship with Lily is my business. We're both adults, and we both have emotional needs. Whatever happened between us may have been unfortunate, but it's not a crime. And if you try dismissing me over it, you'll be talking to my lawyer.
Oh, Peter, I don't think there's any need to get lawyers involved.
So you don't think it's unethical for a pastor with all the power that you have to coerce a parishioner into having sex?
I didn't coerce anyone. Let me tell you something. I don't have to coerce anyone. Besides, where is it written that an ordained minister is not a human being?
They trusted you.
Damn it, I was going through a divorce at the time I got involved with Lily. Maybe it was a mistake, but it was not a crime. I am not an adulterer.
Yes, you are. You are an adulterer.
Esther.
You are, and so am I.
Esther, please.
For so long, you convinced me that what we were doing wasn't wrong. I believed you when you said it was in God's plan.
Esther.
For 3 years, I have also been sexually involved with Reverend Gannett. It started, I'm ashamed to say, when my husband was dying and Peter came to sit with me in the hospital. I suppose I could use the excuse that Arnie was an alcoholic who threatened me, and Peter was a man of God who spoke to me of love and compassion. But I guess I know now that they were both abusing me in their own separate ways. And I put up with it. Now I feel very foolish. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Maybe we should refer this to the bishop.
Now, wait 1 minute, Harold. I, for one, am not willing to let some emotionally unstable women destroy this church I've been attending for the last 45 years.
Agnes, don't.
But a scandal like this can destroy all we've worked for.
I don't think they're emotionally unstable.
Oh, what do you know?
I know that if we don't refer this to the bishop, I'm going to help all 3 of these women find lawyers, and then it will be public.
Wait a minute. I have an idea. For the good of the church, hear me out on this.
We've made a deal.
A deal?
Yes, Gannett's going to resign immediately.
And then what?
Well, then it doesn't have to go to the bishop. We just seal the records. Isn't this what you wanted? To get him out of the church?
Don't you see? He's still controlling things. No one's ever going to know what he did, and he can just keep on doing it.
Tom, I don't know how this got so blown out of proportion.
What were you thinking?
I don't know. Just got so involved, you know, I just lost my head. I've been under too much pressure. Got to take better care of myself.
What about the 3 women?
What about the women?
Did it ever occur to you? Did you think about how they might be affected when you crossed the line? When you stopped being their pastor and became their lover?
Tom, you still don't understand. Those women came to me.
No, Peter, you don't understand. This has nothing to do with who came to who. This has to do with your sacred trust as a minister. When you became sexually involved with these women, you betrayed that trust.
Who are you to judge me?
I hope you would have judged yourself.
I suppose this means I can't count on you as a friend.
I don't know what this means for our friendship, Peter.
You don't care about me at all.
Peter, I do care about you, but I also care about the 3 women and whatever other victims there might be. But most of all, Peter, I'm concerned about the healing that's going to have to take place in our church. Goodbye, Peter. At Trinity Church, Gannett's abrupt resignation sparked numerous rumors. The congregation broke into bitter factions, and church membership declined sharply. Peter Gannett immediately accepted a position at a church in another state. After 18 months of unemployment, Deborah Williams was called to a campus ministry. Meanwhile, with counseling and support, Lily DeVera returned to college. Esther Johnson resigned from her job and left the church completely. 2 years later, Peter Gannett was again accused of sexual abuse. After his new church paid out a substantial settlement, he was fired. He is now working as a family counselor. I became bishop shortly thereafter. My first act was to propose a church policy preventing any more secret deals. Never again would justice be so easily denied. Not in my church. I have now come to understand the extreme harm that can result when a clergy person becomes sexually involved with a congregant. Regardless of who initiates the contact, it is the responsibility of the clergy to maintain the integrity of the ministerial relationship.